Hey, everybody, welcome to the SOS Small Business Success Podcast. I'm excited to be here today. I have got a beautiful guest that I can't wait to introduce you to that's going to be sharing some fun stuff today. And I'm going to be adding to that conversation a little bit with my dear friend Brigette Sobus here. So welcome aboard the SOS train here. You guys, as you know, we're always about kind of like, building your brand so that you can survive and building you to thrive, because there's something very interesting about people make the assumption that we just need to build our business. But the truth is we have to build us. We have to build ourselves in order to build our business, because if you don't grow, your company's not going to grow. If you don't grow, your team's not going to grow. And all of those things kind of tie together. So if we're going to be talking about growth today, then I have the perfect guest, because growth is kind of like part of what she's all about. And I've watched her grow like crazy over the last couple of years. And I was kind of stalking her. I just want you to know, I was stalking Brigette, and I was paying attention to what she was doing. And then finally, and I did not initiate this, she did. So this is where this collaboration and this kind of like synchronicity starts to happen, is she reached out to me to set up a call. And I found it, of course, very enlightening, but also very odd, because I'm like, ooh, she knows I've been stalking her. And it was this random call that she'd set up and just asked me where I was at and what I was doing and what I was up to. And so I had the beautiful opportunity to work with her in some of her training with neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy coach, hypnotherapy, things that I always was fascinated with, but just didn't kind of know how to dive into it, or didn't want to dive into it with somebody that I didn't know who they were. So when she told me that she was all wrapped around that and certified and an expert in these areas, I thought, then I want to be an expert with you in these areas as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but ultimately we're going to talk about also kind of the area of mindset in our framework for success. So you guys know that we talk about 5 different areas on the podcast every chance I get. So it's sales, operation, mindset, marketing, and education. And of course, mindset is a big one. And mindset actually has little legs, little octopus legs that grow into the sales, the operation, the marketing, and the education as well. Because if you're not in the right space to be able to expand yourself and your business or your team, then none of it's going to happen. So I always say that we have to be able to know where we are before we know where we want to go. And once we know where we're going, then we have to set up that proper mindset in place. So Bridget's going to be sharing that with us today. And our title is Power of No, but Say Yes to You. And I like this. I like this title, Brigette. And thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
So happy to be here with you, Bonnie. I was secretly stalking you too.
Oh, I love it when we're like secretly stalking each other. And of course, it turns into a beautiful relationship and a collaboration. And one of the things that I really value is other coaches in the industry that I can learn from and that I can, share in things together, and never feel like it's taking away from what I'm, representing myself and my brand as. But again, the investment that I made this year to be able to step up my game with some new certifications was because as a coach, I have to grow as well. I need new tools for my clients. I need new opportunities, for them to be able to grow. And it was a perfect, a perfect transition for me this year, to kind of go inward a little bit and not feel like it was just this like external learning pieces. But I got to experience a lot of the coaching process for myself so that I could convert those emotions, those feelings, those learnings for my clients as well. And it definitely has grown my business, and that's what we're all about. So, but let me tell you a little bit about Brigette before I hand over the reins to her to talk to us about the power of no. She's a successful independent coach and consultant, supporting others in thriving businesses and careers, and of course, living the life that they love as well. She had a crash course in business when she took a struggling salon in 2005 and transformed it into a top ranking salon, increasing revenue by 30% annually in the first 3 years. That's nice. That's a nice little thing. Of course, she's been a Salon Today top 200 best practices in North America from 2007 to 2020. And then, of course, all the lessons that she learned as a coaching were life-changing for her to be able to not only increase her business, but also increase her personal dreams as well. And I'm gonna give you the floor here, Brigette, because I'm sure there's more to you that might just be part of your story that's going to come from you better than me reading it from a bio standpoint or anything. So, all right, but first, before that, so no to yes. You know, typically we're afraid to say no, and I'll start there. Why are we afraid to say no to things in life?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I really think a lot of it even stems with like how we grew up as children. Like becoming, possibly like people pleasers, not wanting to let other people down, not wanting to look bad or disappoint others. That was a huge thing that I really struggled with, even at the heights of owning my salon, like mentally. So when we're talking about mindset, one of the reasons why I created that title and have a signature talk around it was because even in the face of, growing my business 30%, 40%, taking it from a team of, I don't know, I think 6, I've had up to 24 and everything in between. I really struggled mentally in my mind with people pleasing, saying no. And I had to tell you, first and foremost, systems and structures in place for every business, whether you're by yourself or you have, 10 to 20 to 100 people, like foundational systems are so key because they are systems that you can go back to, like handbooks, job descriptions, employee compensation structures, like policies and procedures. Those were a big saving grace for me that I had in my business that I was always able to follow back on. And in that, I really struggled with my mindset a lot back then before I really dived into getting certified in like the NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis. I constantly had the battle in my own mind of like, I'm not good enough. They're going to leave me. I'm not smart enough. I got to do more. Like I was all like, I would win the Salon Today Top 200 award. And I'd be like, okay, I did that. Well, what's next? What else do I have to do to keep proving and proving and proving and proving I'm a successful business person? That makes sense.
Don't you think that that's like a lifelong thing to some degree too? I mean, there's always a little bit of that self-doubt in there, and for some of us, it kind of continues to drive us and motivate us forward. But when it becomes a detriment to never feeling enough,
yeah,
that's when some of the work needs to be done with ourselves.
Exactly.
We need to go deeper then.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I had the reason why I named my new business Power and Joy Coaching Academy was because during those extremely successful years, I would own my power and I was not having any fun or joy in any of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I was like, I was like, I'd have one or the other. I'd be in full joy, my power would like go away, or it would be like I would feel really powerful, but I still was like mentally struggling at times. Like I would have extreme anxiety. My anxiety used to be like through the roof. I used to say like out of 100, it was like 150. So it was like, even at like being super successful, I was just like experiencing all this anxiety. So it was like not fun at all.
Yeah. And so some of the work that you did to help overcome this.
It was the NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis work. I had always, so there was a woman that I mentored under, and she was also my coach. Her name was Kathy Fleming, and she would always say, and I'm a master of NLP. And I had no idea what she was talking about. And I would also experience like my own growth. I became a certified coach with the International Coaching Federation in 2010. I had already been doing coaching and consulting work. Always had my own coaches. I had therapists at times, and I would have like incremental growth. Like I would have success, I would have growth, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I finally had this breakthrough. And then I don't know if it would maybe be a week later or a month, even a month later, something would happen where it was like I would get re-triggered, and it would be like the rubber band would like snap back. And then I felt like I was like always on this vicious cycle of like overwhelm, anxiety, negative thought patterns, negative emotions. I called it like the ball and chain of negative emotions. It'd be like the fuel to the fire. Or like during like the time when in 2010, I went through a divorce, which took almost 2 years. And it was like, if I started talking about that, like now I can talk about the divorce, like it was just something that happened. It was a circumstance. But prior to the NLP work, if I was Bonnie, if you were to ask me about my divorce, you'd probably see me get like fired up all over again. Like I wouldn't be able, so like my negative emotions would hold on to me. I called it the ball and chain of like negative emotions. They were just like dragging around. And then I hit it really well because I think unless someone was really, really, really close to me, which that probably wasn't a good thing either. I would be like, I would unleash whatever was like bothering me. So that probably wasn't good either. But like, I really hit it well. I really hit it well to people that were like not close to me, or probably even like clients that I was working with at the time. So I did a great job masquerading it.
We can be really good at that. And I think today with, the rise of mental health issues and everything, there's a lot of people that are hiding out and hiding, behind that really well. And I think that as coaches, like I recognize it in people. And when I can recognize something like that in people, then I know, that things can easily trigger them. So I'm careful in the way that I'm communicating. I'm careful in the way that I'm probing, in a sense, because you want to be able to kind of like get people to trust and open up with you and allow some of that release to happen. But at the same time, we're highly triggered today. Look at how today's society, we are triggered.
Yeah. And then there's so much going. I mean, I'm all about the belief system of like, be wary, watch what you're listening to.
Yeah.
Be wary of what you're watching on TV. Be wary of like the news that you're reading, because they call it television programming for a reason. Right? They're like, fear is being installed daily to the
minute by minute by minute by minute.
Recession was like, we're back to that again.
Yeah.
I remember that when it happened in 2009. And then even like 7 years later, when the economy was good, I was going to hair shows all over the country. And I was like, if I hear one more of you say the word recession, really? So now it's like, we're back in that game.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like people are just more
Well, and
Yeah.
4 years goes by pretty quickly. So when you look at, I liked what somebody said the other day, and they said, you know, people, people, the way that we're labeling ourselves now, versus a particular, I am a Christian woman in the beauty industry or whatever those type of labels are, would be as an example. The political label seems to be the most predominant right now, and that's unhealthy. That's an unhealthy label for our society and for individuals, because like you said, we're being programmed constantly. So, and we'll always find evidence of what we want to hear in order to side with that label that makes sense to us. But then it becomes a very unhealthy, approach to, waking up every day and trying to, live in joy and still feel like you're powerful, right? Yeah. So explain to our audience NLP and the timeline therapy that we're certified in. You're a certified trainer. I'm a certified coach in those things. But explain that to our audience so that they get a little sense of what that is.
Yes, because there's a lot of people out there that have misconceptions about it, or don't know what it is. But really, like, NLP is it's a lot of tools and systems that already have been broken down. And it's learning how to be able to communicate effectively, not only with other people, but also communicate effectively with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And like your own thought pattern. How are you using language? What are you focusing on? It does have some like unconscious, becoming more consciously aware of your unconscious patterns or behaviors. Like, this is science studies. Scientific study has shown that around 90 to 95% of people's behaviors are run at the unconscious level. Like, you're on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even really aware of what's going on. So there's how many times of, like, I don't know, if you're listening to this, like, have you ever been in a situation and you had an automatic reaction, and then, like, I don't know, maybe a couple hours later, you're like, oh, I really wish I didn't act like that or say that. Well, your unconscious was
running the show.
Was running the show, so a lot of people aren't even aware of how they're reacting and acting in the moment. So it's becoming more conscious of it. So you actually consciously have more control, and then you have like conscious and unconscious integration.
Yeah.
So it really is a lot of practices on, communication, changing your own behaviors consciously so that it becomes more unconscious and you're having the behaviors you actually want to have.
Yeah. And I think they describe it too, that there's so much information being thrown at us that our brains really only have a limited amount to, hold on to absorb in there. And, depending on what's being thrown at us, we might be absorbing things that are impacting us in a way that is not powerful. It's not healthy. It's not serving us and the life that we say that we want to live. Yeah. So, and a lot of it is going into that space where it's just kind of consuming us. So I like the idea that our unconscious mind is kind of somewhat untapped, but when you can tap into it, amazing things, miracles, manifestations, unbelievable things that you can attribute to faith or angels or even stuff like that happen when you tap into the unconscious.
It's so beautiful. It really is. I mean, even with so timeline therapy is, I would say it's a hybrid of, even if I'm going to get jargony here, I'll be jargony. It's like a hybrid of like a little bit of hypnosis or trance work and NLP work. Mm-hmm. But what it really does is, the beauty of this technique is that you're able to release negative emotions and limiting beliefs at the unconscious level from the root cause. You might not even remember what that incident is, but it's like pulling that weed out and pulling all the roots out so it doesn't grow back. And what I love about it is that it's so different than talk therapy. Like, I actually don't even want to know what the situation was. Like, I don't need to know the details. It's actually better if I don't know the details. So I guess the best way I'd love to describe it is using the analogy from Scrooge, like Christmas Carol, how he goes back in time and he's literally like watching his past self. And then he's getting all these like amazing learnings and like how he could have done things different, but then he brings it into his future. And then like, he literally changes the path of his life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
happy, joyful, and like buying all these gifts for everybody. And like, now
that's a great analogy for it. Yeah. And I think, having had some clients experience it, and of course you've had several clients that have experienced it as well. It really, people want to know how it works and they keep focusing on the how. But, as a coach, it's like, but why would you want this to work? And we know what it takes to make it work. So like, eliminate the how in this process and trust that what you have banked inside of you is either holding you back or moving you forward.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I love supporting people to release the things that are holding them back.
Yeah. And
it's like go into quantum leaps for real. Like I was telling somebody my story about how I sold my salon, and I was like, okay, what's next for me? And I was like, all right, maybe I want this little baby consulting business. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to get certified in NLP timeline therapy, or NLP for real this time. I had always heard my mentor say it, and I'm a master of NLP. I had no idea what she was talking about, but I respected her and I looked up to her. And then, I'm not even kidding, I found a course, I was halfway through it, and I was like, this is it. This is my calling. Am I not mad at that anymore? Do I not believe that? I'm like, I need to become a trainer of this. I literally, not within 6 months of taking that class, my first class, I became a master trainer, a trainer, and I launched the Power and Joy Coaching Academy within 6 months. It was like, that was like,
yeah, it was, it was fulfilling something for you, I'm sure,
Yeah, yes, it's like, I like really, I loved always coaching and consulting. That was always, that brings me so much joy. But like, I was like, this is what I'm called to do, like teach people how to do this. Mm-hmm. So I know when I'm in my 80s and I'm working only because, well, I still want to make money in my 80s, but I'm really doing it because I like, I love it. Like, I'm passionate about it. It fills my soul.
Isn't that great though? Like, that's something that, okay, so our title was, say no so that you can say yes to you or whatever. Like, I don't see, because of the work that I think that we do, I don't see it as it has an end date, like I'm retiring, it has an end date. Which is the beautiful part about it, because as long as I'm in the space of being able to guide people to a better life, then, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not driving to an office every day to do that. I can do this and, forever. Yeah.
I mean, it's life by design. That's one of my favorite hashtags, life by design. It's like, if I want, I'm serious. Sometimes I'm living at the Jersey Shore this summer. I'm living 2 blocks away from the beach. And I'm not even kidding. Sometimes I will just have my phone and I'll walk on the beach and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do work and I'm going to do outreaches and I'm going to do whatever I want. It's like, I have my mobile office walking along the beach. Yeah. It's fun. And so it's like work in my life. It's one and the same. You know what I mean? Like, of course, yes. When I'm training, I'm very focused on training. And sometimes when I'm at the beach, I'm at the beach and I want to have a cocktail there. That's not gonna work. But like, I really get to create it like intentionally by design.
And this is something where you have to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. This is not this external piece of something that you can train somebody on. And I'll just use this as an example, not to say that this is inappropriate or negative in any way, but you can teach people how to be able to read profit and loss statements and how to look at their business to be more profitable. That's a tool that as coaches that we know how to be able to do. But if that person has a belief that they are never supposed to be successful or profitable or make money in, whether it's a favorable, conservative or far-reaching way, then it's not going to happen. Doesn't matter that they know how to read a profit and loss statement. It won't happen.
I love that you brought that up, Bonnie, because it's another reason why I was like, I want to bring this work to the salon spa industry, because there has been a lot of times when, yes, I've had lots of clients that have had so much success, like 30-50% growth. I've taken salon owners that were working 80 hours behind the chair to well, if they still want to work 40, at least it's
because they love what they're doing.
But like they love looking behind the chair, or they're working, maybe one day behind the chair. And there's been times when I'm coaching, stylists or service providers and the owner, and like, I'm like, here are all the tools, the systems you use, and there are negative emotions and limiting beliefs get in the way from them implementing them quicker, sooner, faster.
Yeah. I think people do. I think people have a fear of stepping into something that could be transformational because they fear the change that might evolve from it. And of course, mind you, now in a lot of the transformational work that I have personally done and that I have coached other people on, there is no going back. Once you reach that point of transformation, the caterpillar to the butterfly, you can't go back to the caterpillar. And I think that there's just that uncertainty and uneasiness with people knowing that they need to change, but they fear what the change looks like in the process for them. And I think that kind of ties into our title, where it's like, that's why people say no to themselves. What would you suggest in that transition for them to say yes to themselves?
Well, first and foremost, saying yes to you, working on you first, is just this really amazing ripple effect on everybody else. So what I find happens, I mean, I can even speak from my own personal experience, is that either relationships ended that were no longer serving me or the other person, and then I just wish that person well and love them from afar, or the relationship gets completely reinvented and I'm changing who I am. And then like, because I'm changing who I am, they're like, it's changing. So it like becomes this awesome, my reflection is in them. And then the relationship gets better and it gets reinvented. And then I find that I'm even attracting now more amazing people in my life over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Because some people are stuck in their own pattern. And then sometimes I have come across times when people around them don't want them to change. They really don't want them to change.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. There is fear of that disruption. But some of the greatest work that I've done it myself did evolve into some pretty significant change in my life, but certainly no regrets. It evolved me to move forward. It cleansed a part of me that I didn't know I was struggling with. It was stuck in my unconscious because it was things that happened when I was younger that I put meaning to and didn't know that that connection was so tight that it was preventing me from being able to have different experiences now at a different point in my life and at a different age. So, the oxygen mask theory, you got to work on yourself before you can put it on anybody else. And I don't think business is getting easier for anybody today. So if you are in a small business, and Brigette and I do cater a lot to the beauty and wellness industry, that because that's a service-based business, we are struggling to bring the right amount of support, technology, finding the right people to do the right things for us. We're just afraid to kind of stretch those boundaries a little bit. And, I know that, from this standpoint, the work that you're doing, the work that you got me certified to be able to do, all of that is going to make a difference for you to feel more confident about the decisions you're making moving forward.
Yes. Yes. And then the more that happens in the salon spa industry, it's just a big ripple effect on the world. Yeah. Like you stylists, listen up, owners, stylists, charge your worth, own your worth. I've gone to hair shows, gosh, for over 10 years, I probably was at a hair show for, on average, maybe once or twice a year. Bonnie used to see you at the hair show.
Oh, we were buddies.
Yeah, we were like
dinner buddies at every hair show we went to. It was so fun.
Well, like I would start the trainings, asking questions like, okay, who here wants to make more money? Everyone's raising their hand. Okay, what's getting in your way of making more money? And all those years, it would be such a common theme. Fear, myself, guilt. Like you guys, you have to stop controlling your clients' pocketbooks. Your clients will come in with stories all day long. It's your job to unhook yourself from the story and charge your worth. Mm-hmm. So guilt gets in the way. Not good enough gets in the way. I feel bad. So it's all these negative emotions and limiting beliefs that are truly getting in the way of making more money and charging your worth and raising your prices. Like we as an industry need to up level all of that. And then more people will respect the salon industry. And like I've interviewed a lot of salon owners, and one of their, which is really cool, a lot of salon owners are like, I want my team to say I'm just a stylist. There is no just a stylist or just an assistant or just anything. Like you guys are like, you change people's lives, on such a big scale. Like own it. Own your career, own your power, own your joy. There's so much money to be made.
And don't get so caught up in the weeds of the technique that you're doing, or the technique that you should be doing, or that you need to learn because it's the latest technique or the latest haircut that's out there. The truth is nothing is more powerful for when I'm in the salon and I hear our front desk say, can I book your next appointment? And the person says, oh, yeah, like 5 weeks out, type of thing. Like, can you imagine if we went into a restaurant and we were leaving and they're like, can we book your next reservation for this? And it's like, no, I have no idea where my life is going to be next week. Like we're not booking our next reservation to a restaurant to have a nice meal. But people are looking at their lives of 5 weeks from now, I'm going to be, I got a business trip, so I have to have my hair done. It's got to look good. And that's the transformational piece that we do. So we've got it going on. The wheels are in motion. We are stopping the wheels or slowing the wheels down because we're looking at it in a way that like, oh, I don't want to sell them. Oh, I don't want to charge them more. They've been such a good client. And that's the mindset piece that needs to kind of like do the work. And then the strategy part of it is very easy at that point once you've done the work. All the how-to is so easy. It's like the rails lined up. You're not stopping the train anymore. The rails are already lined up for you. You're ready to go.
Yes, I love that you said that. But yes, absolutely mindset. Like release those limiting beliefs, release the negative emotions that are getting in your way, and then like unstoppable. You know,
Yeah, I love
it's
that.
like
So
creating who you
tell
want.
us, my dear, how people can find you at Power and Joy Coaching.
Well, there's my website, powerandjoycoachingacademy.com. But I will say, Polly, I'm just gonna point everyone to follow me on Instagram,
Uh-huh.
Coach Brigette Sobus on Instagram. I do lives. I just actually finished a 30-day live challenge. And so I go live quite a bit, and I do some fun reels and education on there. So that's where I'll point people to follow me
Yeah,
on
because then
Coach
they
Brigette
can
Sobus.
kind of get a sense of what you're about and what you're doing. That's beautiful. So Coach Brigette Sobis on Instagram.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Now, you guys, that's obviously follow Bridget. She's amazing. She's a very a powerful and joyful person to have in your life, like I have. So I'm honored and thrilled with that. But we're going to be doing some little bit of collaboration coming up here in August. So I definitely want to share this with you as well. So Tuesday through Thursday, the 15th through the 17th. We're going to be going live at 4 p.m. I'm going to have a link for people that want to join us to be able to have a little bit more intimate, ask questions. You can join us on the Zoom, but then we'll be live and we'll go live on our pages here. We'll figure that out. You know, that's a tech piece, but we'll figure it out, Bridget, right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to go live 10 a.m. on Friday of the August 18th. So for that week, we're just going to be having some open conversations, and it's going to look something like this. What's your greatest worry? What's a new idea that you learned and implemented this year that you have pride in? What's this repeat cycle that you are aware of, but you can't seem to get out of? Or what do you want, but you struggle with trying to figure out how to get it? What's your go-to fear response when, you know, things aren't working in your life as you had intended or planned? How are you managing your emotions? The good, the bad, the ugly, and just conversations like that. So we're just going to keep posing some of these conversations. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the tools that we have available to be able to help people get through this, but to be able to just kind of keep that conversation somewhat conscious for you, but also at the same time, some of these questions are going to have to force you to tap into your subconscious in order to say, what is really going on with me? What's really stopping me from not having the success? And then, of course, there's always the opportunity to be able to set up calls with each of us or either one of us to be able to kind of take things to the next level. So, oh my God, I'm so excited for this because sometimes, you know, like as coaches and trainers, sometimes our content is very, you know, outlined and supported in that way. This isn't going to be. This is going to be just kind of, we're going to call it bold conversations with Bridget and Bonnie. And so we want you guys to join us. Bold conversations with Bridget and Bonnie. And then you'll see me posted on my social pages. You'll see Bridget posted on her social pages. So we'll have the link for you if you want to join us and get a little bit VIP status with the, you know, jumping on with us as a registered person. It's free, no charge. But then you can always join us on our Facebook or Instagram pages as well. Okay. Anything else you want to share with our beautiful audience?
My biggest thing, I mean, we have one life to live, like right now on this planet, whatever your belief system is. But like we're here right now. Like live a life you love. Like life is precious, precious and urgent. And the more you do your work on you, and the more you're filling up your cup, putting yourself a priority, then it overflows, and then you're making a bigger difference in everybody else's life you touch. So it's a ripple effect on the world. So yes, say yes to you.
I love that. So yeah, so you know, say yes to you. and say yes to us in August when we kind of continue this conversation a little bit more and go a lot deeper, right?
That's right.
Perfect. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me today. Brigette, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
As always, you guys know that SOS Small Business Podcast is on all your favorite podcast platforms. You can also find it on YouTube, the video on YouTube. And you can also find that I'll post these things on my page at Bonnie Bonadeo as well. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in August.